everyone, this is the Psychic Sleuth, and I'm here today with Cheryl Coker, and I'm having a hard time because my video keeps popping off, and it should record because I did it prior, got everything done, realized I missed some stuff, re-recording, and yet for some reason my camera keeps going off. So hopefully it'll go through all the way this time. Anyways, I started working on this case back at the end of March 28th, with a group of people. I was asked to work on it, so I decided to do it. And realized she was coming through prior in a reading I was doing, and that reading, that person never come through at all. So she's been kind of hijacking my readings. I think that's kind of her personality. Anyways, so I'm just going to read here because it's a lot easier for me to explain. Remember that things have multiple meanings. They can mean more than one thing. So, for instance, numbers can mean more than one thing. So can letters. So can certain names, things like that. Things are very symbolic. I do need to mention that. So this is kind of, it's, kind of confusing. It's easiest for me to read to make sure I get all the information going, or all the information out there. I'm learning that my cases are interconnected, that things I get in one case may be similar or the same name or same something for the next case I'm working on. I guess because I'm an open channel, other spirits tend to jump in, and it's not even because I'm auto-writing, but in a way I am. Because I channel best, and I channel best as I type, and that's why I always read my readings. Like I said, I was working a case prior, and Cheryl jumped in. Most of that reading was actually Cheryl, we realized. Some of the things I am mentioning here are also from Savannah's case that I did. Cheryl was still coming in. That's the case I did after, and I'll be releasing that video as soon as I do another reading for Savannah to get more information. So, it's hard to explain. My partner Charlene gets it and seems to understand it more than I do. I guess spirits realize the next case. It's kind of like a line of spirits is the only way I can explain it, but interconnect is a good word. It's unique but also very confusing. I do the reading, and then people help me validate things. That's why I'll be putting validations on here, because I was working with a group of people. And Charlene is usually the one that validates as well. So with Cheryl, it's been quite a puzzle. I've worked with a few, like I said, but I'm going to summarize everything. I didn't know anything prior to the case other than who the suspect was, and that was all. Remember that readings, it's not just about where they are, but things connected to them or the person involved, or things in their lives, or the area, things around the area where they live, things about the persons involved or people, things like that. The areas, let's see, I'm just going to read off what I can remember from the one reading, because it was just too much to go through, and I'm just going to be reading off the symbolic stuff, because like I said, it was a lot, and I'll do the validation in the end. So the first reading I got was her showing me her car found in a parking lot and something to do with her keys. In that reading, I didn't get a whole lot. I got something about something else. It's not important right now. I'll put the stuff below and combine everything together. So the second reading, Cheryl showed me a fight ensued, that she was punched in the face. He told her that he was tired of her and she was always in the way. I got a lot of resentment, anger, things like that. The punch took her down, and then she was strangled. Things were then in mode on what to do next. She was put in a large suitcase. I saw him removing clothes from a suitcase. He put her wallet and phone on the counter. He then put her in the suitcase and took her to the car, placed her in the trunk, took her to a storage place, closed, and put her there till nightfall. The storage place was orange and under an assumed name already that he had and he paid cash for. Prior, he then goes back, grabs the phone and wallet, places it in the car, and takes it to a parking lot where he leaves it. I see him enter through his house through the back. The place is in disarray and the lamp was broken. I see papers and stuff everywhere. He gets to cleaning and takes the lamp and the things out to the trash. Later, I see him go back and get Cheryl. It's night, and he takes her to where we have all the symbolic things in place together. One thing I keep hearing was the roller and suitcase on the wooden planks, birds and bugs. This was repeated many times over the course of days. Not all will fit Cheryl, but I think most of this does, because I'm betting that some stuff came in from the next case will fit both. Also got rolling hills and can be an actual name or actual rolling country on the way there or around the area. Reference to Florida, so this can be the fact that he came back a few days before. That's what I was told. I did not know that at the time. But also the area reminds you of it, or there can be a name in reference to Florida. 20 to 30 minutes away, around 8:15 in the morning. Was what I got is when all this happened. Randomly, I heard, let's get a cone. It made me think of ice cream. So the number 15, holiday, smell of food, maybe barbecue or restaurant, bridge that goes over water, colored leaves, pond, smell of wet creek or river. Joplin made me think of Janis Joplin. Lucky, eagle flying, leaves and branches, 7, ducks, pumpkin, can be for October, Halloween or actual pumpkin. Candy canes, yellow, soccer, 15, heights, airplanes, geese, beaver, Farmer John, yellow, cranes, ducks. And sometimes things will come in as phrases, but they only mean one or two things out of the phrase, or it's to bring in a name, and that's just how I relate, because a lot of things will come in how I relate or how I know. Cranes, ducks, hollow, woods, creeks, leaves on the ground, prairie, pathway with parking lot, trees, flowing, creek, picnic tables, wetlands, smell marsh, pumpkin, pumpkin patch, haystack, scarecrow, crows, red, cows, manure smell, reminds me of the fair, horse stables, the word hypocrisy, gravel, church, cedar, heaven on earth, helicopter, frogs, water, dampness, handicap sign, wood planks, brush, metal tower, lilacs, sometimes symbol for garden, leaves, 5, could be 5 miles or just 5, green rabbit, mile markers, white things stuck in out of the ground, kind of like the things people stick in there. I don't know how to explain it. History, historical, pond in the distance, picnic space, trees, bark, a little wet, gunshot branches, piles, wood, dam, beavers made it. The word Foster, we later realized that that's the cross street she used to live on was Foster. It's the cross street for the street she used to live on. It was said twice. Brown fence with logs. Yellow. Forest backs up to it with the creek. Camping, fishing, not far from. Sees a sign, like a brown sign. Sheep. Numbers 3, 7, 5, 4, 63. Can come in a 6 or 3. Sometimes numbers can be people, months, days, years, however it fits. 35 letters are MRISAGHFNC 7712 Dolphins 17. Second reading, 50 Shades of Grey. We know what that movie's about, and according to their lives, it kind of fits. Can be other meanings too. 23. Number 2. Helicopters and airplanes going over. Swimming, he knows the area well, on his favorite spots. Dirt paths, Little Annie. House on the prairie, letter S. Soccer, soccer field, girls playing. We now know that her girls play soccer. John, hills, Ferris wheel, kettle corn, smell of fair next to a tree that looks like stands alone, but the other tree's close. But this tree is bigger and stands out. Looks kind of crazy without the leaves. Frogs, right next to the water in the woods. Green tree, bell, book, and candle. The movie Good Witch. Also the older version of Bell, Book, and Candle. She's a witch, and she has a store that's a spiritual shop. So in the area that has spiritual things, psychics, witches, things like that. A spiritual kind of vibe to it. Babbling brook. Water does flow. She can hear it. Smells really swampy, musky, tall grass. Dead trees. Handicap. Triumph. Very close. Not hidden too well, but not easy to find. Coyotes, Brokeback Mountain. You know what Brokeback Mountain is about. It's also about two good men, so I feel it's connected to the situation, but I also feel there's another meaning because the community that we found matches this. It's known for an open community about gay rights. Maybe close to cemetery or crematorium. Fly fishing, a body of water not far from her. Kilpatrick. This can be a juvie facility or a jail. That's usually my symbol for it because we have one here that I know of. Green, this time with an E on the end, randomly came to me talking about the case before metal wires. Oh, that came through already. Let's see. So, randomly came to me before I was sleeping was the phrase, a star is born. And, if we had realized this before, we would know where to go. But, it's kind of like duh, because if you Google A Star Is Born, it's in Yellow Springs, where the movie was made with Dave Chappelle. So the mention of a park being like behind it in close proximity to the home park with ducks. Marco Polo bricks pasture hickory dickory dock. That's come through 3 different times. I'm not really sure what it means. Sounds like Byron or similar. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Aftershock. Flowers, little white ones, put in a flower crown around the head. I was shown a picture of Cheryl's granddaughter that had this as a validation. 7 miles, 3 minutes. Halloween, pumpkins, haunted house, making ghost noises like woo. She's very specific about haunted houses or haunted. Handmade horror nights, pathways, bicycle, pass, random place, off-beaten path, hearing, shooting of rifles, wetlands, swamp, wet, with swampy things sticking up. I guess they're called reeds. Sorry. When I'm doing the reading, I can't think of what they're called. Farmer market, reeds, real ducks, hearing creek, 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 beavers and dams, pond-like swamp area where they shoot ducks. Cheryl put a pumpkin pie in my face, and it's weird when they showed me the duck thing, it was like duck hunting. Candies and wrappers, Cheryl singing, I'll take you to the candy shop. Found out this area is huge for candies, saltwater taffy, specifically. Purple and yellow flowers, rindavus, peace pipe, native stuff, drumming, close to Indian country or in Indian country. Creek kind of flows, twists and turns. Fun barn, feels like access, like easy off the road access, like just off the road, take another road and then another road. Crops from farm, actual crops, veggies and fruits, crops that grow, alfalfa, hay, farm or fair, horses, sheep, cows, pigs, swing set, Bible time, farm, then trees, guns and sees ducks fly off, Glen Oaks, the Glen, Cherry Springs, natural brook, little waterfall, nature preserve, letter H, name Gwen, brings in Gwyneth Paltrow, lake, hearing mile marker, feels like road off, maybe next to mile marker or exit, but feels like road, can hear cars, but in woods, near creek, waterfall, Finn, then the Glen, possible move, the Finn is behind their house, if you didn't catch that, next to Creekside, next to a place called Creek. Okay, so then working on the next case, she brought in 15 again, and Brian, and was seeing large birds like hawks, eagles, falcons, found out belongs in Cheryl readings, or found out it belongs in this case as well as the next case, as well as I got 2008 in a cold case. I didn't realize it fit in Cheryl's either until today, actually. Funny thing is, I had a peacock in my yard, on my car yesterday, in my yard. I've lived here for a very long time, and, all my life, and I've never once had a peacock in my yard. They live way, way, way down the street, let alone on my car. It just happened to miss the alarm. I had to take my kid to school, and it turns out there's validation because there's a place named Peacock in the area. Talk about in your face. Like, duh, come on, you're not getting the rest of the hints. Hello. She mentioned yellow several times. Okay, here comes the validations. She mentioned yellow several times, and I was drawn there several times, but I kept going back, listening to people saying it's very monitored park, she can't be there. Wouldn't be smart of him, but sometimes people, they can't monitor every single place of that park. Very easy to put her off the side of the road. No one would even know. So Yellow Springs is 17 miles. I got 17, 28 minutes. She said 20 to 30 minutes. It's called Yellow Springs. It's very hippie-ish town. Lots of spiritual stuff. Lots of psychics and things like that out there. Very open. They once had Janis Joplin play there with Grateful Dead. In that show, a photographer named Annie photographed it. It has a lot of history and is a historical town. And has a few historical landmarks. It's a town where A Star Was Born movie was made with Dave Chappelle, and I guess there is a lot of places that are named there after actors and shows, like Lonesome Dove. It's also a very spiritual town, which is why Bell, Book, and Candle came up. And like I said, if you've ever seen that movie, you would understand. So spiritual shops. This fits the area very well. This area is also surrounded by farmland. There's Young's Dairy, which sells ice cream, and there's Working Dairy with cows. They also do lots of street fairs, especially around Halloween, which I was told she went missing. I believe they have farmer markets as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I was told she went missing in October, which I didn't even realize at the time when I did the reading. They also have other street fairs. They have a huge saltwater taffy store, like I said, which would make sense about the wrappers, and the candy shop. The area is very haunted with lots of haunted stories. There's farms with animals. They have a petting zoo. There's a big bird sanctuary right there next to the park, where they have eagles, hawks, owls, falcons, and many more. The area is known for sexual orientation rights, and John Bryan Park backs up to it. The area fits to a T. There's a wooden walkway, creeks, river, a pond, lakes, trees, change colors, waterfall, brooks, flowers, and lilacs in the area, a barn, camping, fishing, hunting, and shooting not far, a cemetery not far, churches nearby. She did spell out fair with the letters. She stated Glen by saying Glen Oaks. She also gave the letters G and H and also said Finn, then Glen. Possible she was in the Finn behind in the wooded area. Cops got too close. She was then moved to the Glen. There's a store there called Heaven on Earth. There was an earthquake in 2008. There's the aftershock in 2008. She brought up John a few times by saying Farmer John and also saying John. This backs up to John Bryan. She gave the name Brian in the following reading with Savannah. That also fits for that reading. We'll get there. There are lots of restaurants nearby. There's an airport nearby. There's also complaining about helicopters flying over, looking for that missing man. There is, it's in Greene County. Also, that's considered Cedarville or something like that. And also there is a campground, there's a campground that's called Greene Campground. The road Byron runs into it. Holiday Valley is close. Cedarville is actually like that area, but it's not far as well. Highway 35 is close. They do have a horse riding center nearby. Little Miami River runs through it, reference to Florida. We do know now the house they used to live in across the cross street is Foster. There's also a cherry there and cedar in that area, as well as some other things. Someone also told me that she had a friend named Cherry. It's an extremely native land. There's Native American land there and lots of Indian mounds, things like that. There's a few red barns and names with red in it. There's a place called Peacock nearby. Their anniversary is 7/7. There's a body found out there 4/12. That's why I decided to do this and put it out, because if they found her, there's no worry about her being moved. But I also want to put it out to validate information that she said. Also got number 2 and was made aware that she was found October 2nd, but there's also a birthday in the family that is 2/23, and there's someone that is 23. She was, let's see. And so you have to remember that things can have more than one meanings as far as letters, numbers, words, and phrases. I'm sure there's other things that may connect that we didn't find. I'm not in Ohio, nor do I know the area. I can only go by the info she showed and that Spirit gives. I'm not great at locating on a map. I hope that gets better and feel it that it's getting stronger because I was drawn there. But I don't always listen, and I'm still trying to learn. All I can do is take the puzzles that Spirit gives and find the spot. I was worried about releasing the video because I was worried that he would move her body. So although I began the specific reading on March 28th and I've worked for it for a few weeks, I'm just now doing a video because there was a body found out there, like we said, and we started matching stuff up saying, oh duh, it's been right under our noses.